Hello everyone, welcome back to Base Damage. Last night was a little bit hectic for recording. Everyone was just kind of everywhere, so I figured I'd record my own little thing for it this morning. We had the Bushiroad English presentation last night for new sets and Banlist update. So TLDR real quick, we're just going to go through them very quickly and show what it was, and then I will have a little bit of talk about my thoughts on the restricted list and everything else as well. So to start off with the sets that they did that we are confirmed getting in English and also not confirmed getting in English. No UMA announcements. Big sad, big fail. Bushi should have capitalized on this, but maybe they're in talks with it. Who knows? But a new UMA set got announced for Shadowverse, so congrats to them on that one. Oshinoko Volume 2. Sorry, my head is covering the Volume 2. Did get announced for English, so coming soon for that. Really cool. You know, shout outs to the Oshinoko players. Don, we kind of figured this was going to happen at some point. So we know for a fact we are getting Don in English, booster pack and the trial deck. No set date just yet. Also, no set dates just yet for Fujimi Volume 2 or for Eminence of Shadow just yet. They will announce that later. Makine, Too Many Losing Heroines. That is going to be really cool. Say hi to level 4. This is going to be a very interesting set. I'm actually going to be trying to look over this very, very soon because I've heard some crazy mechanics for this. Holy crap, I definitely am very curious as to how this is going to work. So, and we kind of assumed this. Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest is coming to English. We kind of assumed this since they reprinted the Chronicle set. Like, it's just seemed like it was going to be an obvious thing. And lastly, like I said, the restriction update. So that was the TLDR for the sets. If that's all you're here for, thank you. Have a nice day. So several things got added and taken off of the restricted list. So let's talk about what got added first over here on the English Weiss site, because this is horrendous for like zooming in and whatnot. Like, oh my god. No high-res pictures just yet. The level 3 Mai from Bunny Girl Senpai did get hit to 2 copies. This is the same restriction that is on the JP side, so nothing super crazy there. Obviously, they're like, hey, you know, it's kind of having the same level of, you know, representation and whatnot, like, kind of like a little short, but, you know, very understandable. We figured this was going to be it. This was kind of not on my bingo card. Elizabeth, level 0 Brainstormer for 7 Deadly Sins, is also limited up to 2 copies, which is kind of funky. Like I said, thoughts at the end, but this was not on my bingo card. So, Nino, a bunch of hits to Nino because they added, it was now no longer a choose one of 3, it is a choose one of 5. They added the Foolish Burial Nino. Like I said, I know this is kind of hard to see, and I'm very sorry. And the level 3 from, I think it was Volume 2. This was limited to 2 copies in JP, but they just outright added it to pick one of 5 list. Okay, moving on. Data Live is now completely and totally unrestricted, minus, I think there was, okay, no, there is the Kurumi is still at 2. That's what it was. I'm so sorry. So there is no pick one of 2 list for that anymore. Just the Kurumi is still unrestricted to, or still restricted to 2. Sorry. Kaguya-sama, that is the one that is completely and totally unrestricted. There is no more Kaguya-sama on the restricted list. That is really awesome for those wanting to play Kaguya. And it's just, I love the Inchun-kun note is just, love is war players. We hereby bestow courage upon you to go forth and win the battle of love and wits. So yeah. So that is basically the big points, and we're just going to go down here to the watch list really quick. If that's all you were here for, that is the hits, and now I'm going to go into a little bit of discussion, nothing too terribly crazy, but I did want to talk a little bit. So thank you if you were here just for that. I hope you have a great day. They did not touch Nikkei. That is the first thing that I want to say here. It makes me question what they are wanting to... Okay, because if you go over... And I'm not going to pull it up or anything. If you go over to Weiss Tea Time and you look at all the decks that have been topping in teams, almost every single set has... Or almost every single team has a Nikkei deck. And in the most recent one, as the recording of this video, the Jakarta, Indonesia regionals, they weren't able to go off into teams, so they had to do singles for their tournament. And 5 of the top 8 was Nikkei. and 4 of those were Modernia Biscuit. So even before then, I'm just saying that is like the most recent information as of this. You're about to see so much more Nikkei. It makes me think they want to like people to try to gravitate towards that set and buy more of it. It almost makes me think, you know, it's a money thing. But that's kind of whatever. But you can still do stuff with the just a 2 restriction on sins. I just don't know. So with slime, in my personal opinion, it got the certain hits that people were just like, okay, there's too many hits. I don't want to deal with it. I'd rather just go to a set that isn't restricted as heavily. Whereas you could still play around those restrictions in slime and still run the deck. I feel it's kind of the same way with like Deadly Sins. With Quince, you could still play Nino. There are still top ends that you can play with Nino. But it may just be a thing where just so many different things are restricted that they just, like, say for Sins and Nino, and also there's other Quint sets if you just want to run, like, fucking Miku. Apparently the Miku marker deck is, like, amazing now. I think people are just going to see all the restrictions, because with Deadly Sins, you also still have a pick 1 of 4, with the Diane, the Dreyfus, the Gil Thunder, and Escanor himself. Obviously, like, I'm sorry, I can't really zoom in any further, because the Bushiroad site is just not too terribly high resolution for these pictures just yet. Eventually, they'll release a higher resolution thing. But as of right now, I just think with all of these hits, I think people are just going to gravitate away from it and like just go play something else. Something like, I don't know, Nikkei. It's almost like they just wanted to push people towards that and go buy this product. I'm just saying. Also, if I didn't state before, it is going to go into effect on August 22nd, right before Duluth. So I will have to deal with these restriction changes. I will probably be playing against a lot of Nikkei in there. Or, you know, granted for teams, it probably won't be as bad. But I would hope that by the time that singles comes back around, that they do some kind of hit for Nikkei, if that's the case. Because oh boy, is it rampant, and trying to say that it isn't is a fool's thought. But with I still feel you can do stuff with this, but once again, the restrictions are just so abundant and also so different. Where this was just the level 3 Nino before was just 2 copies in JP, just outright added to the pick 1 of restriction thing, is kind of funky. It's whatever, but I think people are probably gonna be like, okay, cool, we could work with this for Deadly Sins, or like try to find more ways of just searching the Brainstormer and then still getting the combos and everything to go off, because realistically 9 times out of 10 you're just gonna have like 2 in the back row. There are some situations where someone will play like a third on center stage and still get like 3 of the combo off, but that's not typically what is happening. You're typically just trying to resolve the 2 in the background, in the back row for their climax combos and stuff. I feel it could easily be played around. Maybe the 7 Deadly Sins players are like, nah, fam, we're just gonna show that we're not gonna like leave, and like I said, just put in more cards that search for this specifically and just have a fun time. So I would love, 7 Deadly Sins has been insanely resilient, so I would love to be proven wrong that, you know, people aren't just going to move on to something else and they just keep playing this. Shoutouts to Jose, world champ. So I think that would be cool. I think stuff could be done. It'd be very interesting. Nino, once again, will be just with all the restrictions. I feel stuff can be done. Once again, people may just move on to Nikkei, something that isn't restricted. Or maybe they'll move on to Data Live. Now that only the Kurumi is limited to 2 copies, maybe something can be done for that. Or maybe even Kaguya-sama. I would love for Kaguya-sama just to like show up and start slapping face. I think that would be so cool. And that is really going to be it. Like I said, we'll see how the Mai restriction does. I think you can still pull that off very consistently. I just don't know. I would love to see it. Congrats to the Kaguya-sama and the Data Live players. Congrats to the Nikkei players. You get to play all of teams, the rest of the team tournaments and stuff like that without having to worry about any restrictions. Modernia and Biscuit are in full force, so should be very interesting for that. Thank y'all very much for watching, and we will see y'all on the flip side. Stay based.